So I'm questioning all this stuff in my head out loud on my audio diaries. And then once again, I'm like, but look at what he's giving you. Like, he's paying. It wasn't a question about money. It was just a question of, are we really about to move into this house? And keep in mind, he's paying all the household bills. He still is. So we were supposed to close before Memorial Day. We didn't. There was an excuse. There was always an excuse with him. Always an excuse. And I didn't know enough about the process to question stuff because I really wasn't involved the way I should have been. And it was giving me a lot of anxiety. So I'm pregnant with a lot of anxiety. And if I'm gonna be 100% honest with y'all, I was not expecting that I was probably going to have a healthy pregnancy because I was stressed. And what I was stressed about is I didn't know what was going on because I wasn't really involved the way that a normal relationship would be involved. Just being honest. So we did not close. We move now into June. This is now going into June. Around June 5th, I looked at the house again on realtor.com. I don't know what made me do it other than, and I don't mean to sound super spiritual. I know that people are like, you may or may not believe in God, but I'm telling you, I believe with all my heart, probably the Holy Spirit was like, look at that house on realtor.com. So I looked at the house on realtor.com. This was around June 5th. It showed that the house was off the market. And I remember being like, okay, wait, what does that mean? What does that mean? Because ex-husband is telling me we're about to close on the house. We're about to close. It's our house. We got furniture, He's also telling me that he's been in contact with the realtor, his friend, who was telling him, this is what was happening next. Here's what's going on. So the guy that we initially worked with apparently is completely out of the picture. But again, I was not heavily involved. So I'm just like, let me look at the house. I see it's off market. What the fuck does off market mean? Like, now I'm really freaking out. So it shows the name of the real estate agent for the seller. I don't remember her name. I called her and I said, I said, my husband and I, even though I wasn't married, my husband and I were looking at this house at 123 Main Street and we really wanted to tour it, but now I'm showing it's off market. Is it not available? Or, I pulled that card and she was like, oh, no, ma'am. The home closed yesterday. It closed June 4th. Again, there's certain dates I just remember. And I said, oh, it closed June 4th? I was like, really? And she said, yes, ma'am. She was like, my sellers sold the house. And I was like, oh, man, okay. Well, I said, my husband and I really wanted, we love the pictures of it. And we're getting ready to start a family. So I would have loved to have been able to, have the opportunity to see it. I asked her something. I don't remember the specific question I asked her. And I know why I asked the question because I was anticipating that my boyfriend at the time was going to have some sort of excuse. So I asked her something about the buyers. And I remember, and somehow, again, forgive me, I don't remember the question I asked her, but the answer was that it was an older white couple. So I get off the phone with her, I record an audio diary, and in the audio diary, I specifically say, okay, there is no house. He's going to have to get out of this lie somehow. Because now I realize, at the very least, he was lying about him being the one who was under contract. I knew enough about that. So I was like, how is he going to get out of this? Again, I've listened to the audio diary in 2024. I literally said in that audio diary, how is he going to get out of this lie? And I was trying to think of ways on how he's going to do it. And something said to me, because I say it on the audio diary, I said, he's going to say it's a bad deal. And he's going to say he wants to pull out. Y'all keep in mind, I am pregnant. So I had a decision to make. As ugly as this decision was, I made the decision, you're about to have a baby with this man. He's paying all the household bills. Let him get out of the lie. And that's what I did. I purposely made the decision that I knew he was going to come back and I knew he was going to give me some bullshit on why he couldn't buy the house, because he didn't know that I knew that house is already sold. The house is already sold. And this is the part where I said, I'm gonna be honest, even though it's gonna make me look bad, because most women in their right mind would have been like, I'm out, and I didn't. So sure enough, he came home. He didn't really say anything that day. The next day I asked him about the house, and he said, my friend, the realtor, he was like, I'm talking to him because something's going on with the interest rate. And when he said that, I felt so much relief, because I knew that I had been prepared for, he's gonna give you some bullshit. So when he said there's something with the interest rate, I said, you know what? If this is literally what I said, y'all. If the interest rate isn't good, then we shouldn't move there. We should probably let this house go. We should cancel whatever furniture we ordered, or appliances, and let's just look for another house. I said I would like to be moved before the end of the year. I said I really don't want to be 9 months pregnant moving into a house. I would like to be done with this before then. And the way I said it was so calm, and he was like, okay. He was like, I'm gonna call the realtor, and tell him I'm backing out of the house, and I'm gonna see if I can get my earnest money back. And I remember looking at him. I was standing in the kitchen, and I cocked my head to the side, and I said, okay, get your earnest money back, and let's find another house. And so that's how that first house fell through. So fast forward, I keep looking at this to see how much time I have, because they only give you 10 minutes. So this is part 5, part 6 is coming up. But subsequently, what ends up happening the next week, which is mid-June, I was at work, and I started cramping, started bleeding. And at this point, my doctor, I had just had an ultrasound earlier that day. So I went to work, because the ultrasound was fine. I went to work, and the cramping and the bleeding started. And I started crying because I kind of knew what was going on. And my doctor had called me and told me that when they did the ultrasound, they did not see a heartbeat. So she was like, this pregnancy is not going to be viable. So I'm crying and hysterical. And now we're going to get into part 6. Okay, so this is part 6 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So where we left off. So obviously, my doctor had called and told me there was no heartbeat. The pregnancy was not viable at that point, and I was cramping and spotting at work. Went into my best friend's office and immediately started crying. She was like, what's going on? And I said, I told her what the doctor said, and she grabbed her keys, grabbed her purse, and was like, let's go, I'm taking you home. On my way home, I called my boyfriend and told him what the doctor said, and he was like, I'll meet you at home. So he was coming from Duluth, went straight home. And so about 24, 48 hours later, I had a doctor's appointment, and my doctor gave me 3 options. First option, let everything happen naturally. Your body will expel the fetus on its own. Second option, you can take a pill which will induce expelling the fetus at home. The pill basically will cause you to contract and expel. The third option was to go into the hospital and do a D&C. I did not want to do a D&C because I did not want to be in a hospital with COVID going on. And for whatever reason, I did not do the option of let it happen naturally. So I chose to do the pill. His birthday was June 17th. My ex's birthday was June 17th. So the decision was made, we're going to celebrate his birthday that day, go out to eat. And then that night I would take the pill, because we both were off from work the next 2 or 3 days. So went out to eat to try to celebrate as best we could, and then took the pill that night. That night was the most traumatic, excruciating pain I've ever put my body through. I do not recommend any woman, if prayerfully you don't have to go through that, but I don't recommend taking that pill. If you don't have to, don't do it. I spent the whole night in the bathroom just crying in so much pain. They gave me a narcotic. I couldn't take it because I found out I was allergic to it, so it was causing me to projectile vomiting. It was a mess. So, and he was right there. He was scared that he needed to take me to the ER. But in the morning, the pain kind of subsided. So about 72 hours later, I had another doctor's appointment, where the purpose of this appointment was to do an ultrasound to see if everything had passed. Everything did not pass. So because of that, my doctor was like, we're going to have to do a D&C. My D&C was scheduled for the first week of July. My boyfriend, my ex, was going to take me. That was always the plan. 2 days before my procedure, he comes home and tells me that he is up for a promotion. He's up to be promoted to VP. Because of this, the president of the company, is coming in, and it was going to be this huge business meeting he had to go to. The business meeting was scheduled for the day of my surgery. And so I'm throwing a fit, because I was like, you there's no way you can do that meeting. I need you to take me to the hospital and all this other stuff. And so he offered to have his sister take me to the hospital. Apparently his sister lived in Douglasville. I was like, no, because I've never met her. I'm not having a stranger take me to the hospital. No, this is a private situation. I don't want to do that, blah, blah, blah. So my aunt had offered to take me. And then my friend who took me home from work had offered to take me. So at that point, we get into an argument, because he's like, my sister is, you about your family, so why can't she step in? And I was like, no, because I don't know her, period. I don't know her. So my friend offers to take me to the hospital, because I was all distressed that he's saying he has a business meeting and he can't take me. So I remember being on I-75 on the connector, on the phone with her crying because I was so embarrassed that he wasn't going to be the one to take me and that I was needing to rely on someone else to take me to the hospital in order to get a DNC done. And she was really great. She was like, girl, this is why you have a village. Like, it's okay. Things happen. The world is crazy right now. I will take you. You're going to be okay. So he did not take me to the hospital for my DNC. My friend did. She could not stay because of COVID protocol. So when they wheeled me into pre-op after I got checked in, I texted him and was just letting him know, hey, here's the update. I'm about to, I'm in pre-op. They're going to get me prepared to go back to the surgical ward or whatever. And the response I got was from his new executive assistant named David. Now, when he told me he was up for the promotion, he did tell me that part of getting this new job would be that he would get an executive assistant named David. And he did tell me, I'm going to make sure that I inform David, if you get a text from this number, meaning from me, pull me out of the meeting because, my fiance's having a procedure done and I'm picking her up. So it's important that you come get me if it's something serious. So I text him. David responds. He said, yeah, Mr. Blah, blah told me that you are having a procedure done. If you need me to get him, I can go get him. He's in a meeting. Just let me know what you need. And I just said, no, don't bother him. I'm just giving an update that they're about to take me back. And David responds and says, I'm so sorry you're going through this. Please let me know if there's anything I can do. So I have the procedure. I wake up and I am now in recovery. I should be in recovery 45 minutes up to an hour and a half. I wake up, first thing I ask, and I remember asking, is where is so-and-so? The nurse who was so sweet, she was like, everything went well. You're doing great. She said, we spoke to your fiance. He's on his way. So I said, okay, I kind of dozed back out, but I could still hear everything that was going on. I just could not keep my eyes open to save my life. So I hear her talk to the other nurse. And that's when she said, Dr. So-and-so called her fiance and his executive assistant picked up. And the executive assistant said that he was in a business meeting and that, you could relate to him what you need to say and he'll tell the fiance. And my doctor was like, hell no, HIPAA, I need to speak to him. So apparently my fiance called the doctor back about 30 minutes later. And the doctor informed him she'll be ready to be discharged in about an hour. You can make your way and come pick her up. He said he was on his way. He was on his way from Duluth to Atlanta, which is not a huge distance, but the time of day, one thing about Atlanta, there's always traffic. So he should have been there within the hour. I should have only been in recovery an hour and a half. Let's go to the next part. So I should have been in recovery at Northside Hospital for about at most an hour and a half. Subsequently, I ended up being in recovery between 3 to 3.5 hours. The nurses kept calling my ex, asking, what's the status? Because they were actually getting ready to do a shift change. So they kept calling, asking, what's the status? What's the status? Like, where are you? I want to say that they called a total of 3 times and they spoke to him twice. So at this point, I knew that they were all like, where's her fiance? Like, what is going on? He said he was stuck in traffic. And so he was making his way there. He eventually did get to Northside Hospital, and they wheeled me down because, again, he couldn't come in just because of the protocols. So when I got in the car, and I'm in pain, but yet drugged up, couldn't keep my eyes open, I was just out of it. But I remember him calling my aunt and my mother and letting them know I picked her up. We're on the way home. Let me get her settled, and then I'll give you guys an update. I remember that. What I did not know was that he had texted my aunt and my mom and asked them to not bother me for like a week. Like, just please don't reach out to her. Let her just rest. I am from New Jersey. I am from an African-American family. You don't tell my black mama or my black aunt that, please don't bother her for a week. I didn't know this at the time, but I'm just interjecting that part. I'm trying to stay in the timeline, but he did apparently do that. And my aunt was like, well, I will fuck you up. Anyway, so go home. He waits on me hand and foot. I recover. Just needed about 24 to 48 hours to just get my mind right. During this time, in between when the house in Douglasville fell through, we had not talked about a house. So I guess it was about a week later after the DNC. He decides that, do you want to start looking for a house again? Excuse me, I have hiccups, y'all. Do you want to start looking for a house again? Because of what happened with the house in Douglasville, I felt like I was smarter this time to say, I want to be involved in every aspect because I don't know what the fuck happened with that house in Douglasville. But what I do know is that he lied to me. I didn't know then what I know now. I just knew he lied about I knew he lied about being under contract. So I told him, I said, I don't want to work with your friend who I've never met, never talked to. I know that he has talked to him because he's talked to him in front of me. And I'm going to demonstrate on one of the videos how he used to do his phone calls. Don't worry, it's coming. So we found a new real estate agent. Really nice guy. His name was Scott. I am using his real name. Really nice guy. And we told him what the budget was. And Scott was like, okay, when you guys are ready, we can start looking at houses. Try to look for houses that are empty because you can actually tour those. If it's a house where someone's already living in there, chances are it's going to be a virtual tour because of COVID. So I found a house that I absolutely, in total, we must have looked at about 15 houses. But I found a house in Smyrna that I absolutely loved. We toured the house. Everything about this house was perfect. The house was listed for $699,000. It was a brand new construction build. The only issue was that the basement was not finished, and he wanted the basement to be his man cave. Again, I went with him to tour this house. So this was already feeling very different than the situation in Douglasville, because we did not actually tour the Douglasville house. We only did a FaceTime virtual tour. This house in Smyrna, we toured. We toured this house more than once. And it was gorgeous, fucking gorgeous. So we talked about it. He said that he had the money. Again, the price was $699. He said he felt comfortable putting in an all cash offer. If you remember on the videos before, he told me he had money in his savings from when he played football. So when he said an all cash offer, even I knew, you got that kind of money, like where you can cut a cashier's check for $699,000? And he told me he did. He had money in savings from when he played football, and he was very comfortable paying all cash for this home. So the real estate agent, Scott, sent over the paperwork. The paperwork was sent in both of our names. It was sent to my email. That was another thing that I changed after Douglasville. Everything gets sent to me, and then I will be sure that he signs it. So he sent it to me. I looked over the offer. We were going to put in an all cash, full price offer with a request to have the basement finished. Also, we were requesting for the seller to give us an answer within 24 hours. We were requesting a quick closing. These are just some of the things I remember. I remember 24 hours, like I didn't want to wait on, y'all think about it. 24 hours, let us know if you're accepting the offer or not. And then also a quick closing because it was a new construction. So we didn't have to wait for the current tenant to move out. We didn't have to do that. So I watched in our bedroom as he pulled it up, because it was a electronic document. He signed his name to the offer for $699,000 cash. He requested again, the seller let us know in 24 hours if they were accepting the offer. So we submitted the offer at around 6 p.m. We were requesting that by 6 p.m. the next day, they let us know if the offer was accepted or not. I watched him sign the offer.